What is going on, guys? In today's video, I will show you the best staff and wand build in Throne and Liberty. So in this guide, I will give you a quick overview of the setup, then I will explain what skills and upgrades you should focus on. Then as well, we'll see what is the best gear and how to get it for both the mid-game and the full endgame. And then finally, we will go over the weapon masteries, stats, your skill rotations, and even what guardians should you use. So we would be able to get the highest damage and healing possible and much more. This is the most versatile healer setup in the game, because you can heal while also doing great amount of DPS. As our weapon combination has stronger and more spammable AoE abilities than any other healer combo, so this makes her preferred when farming in the open world and dungeons. If you enjoy traditional mage DPS builds but also want to heal and support allies, then this is the one for you. So let's move over to the build. And for the choice of weapons, we're going to be going with the staff and wand. And first of all, we have our skills. So for defensive skill, we use the Chaotic Shield, while for active skills we get Touch of Despair, Serial Firebombs, Time for Punishment, Chain Lightning, Curse Explosion, Swift Healing, Corrupted Magic Circle, Inferno Wave, Judgment Lightning, High Focus, Inner Peace, and Karmic Haze. As you can see from the gameplay, I don't have all these same skill icons on my bar. It is because the skill icons will change depending on our specialization setup. And in our setup, only one skill will change. So the Corrupted Magic Circle will turn into the Decaying Touch. And then for passive skills, we get Devotion and Emptiness, Noble Revival, Vampiric Contract, Wraith's Beacon, Forbidden Sanctuary, Flame Condensation, Mana Ball Eruption, and Full of Corruption. As for skill upgrade priority, for active skills, we want to mainly focus on Swift Healing, Touch of Despair, Curse Explosion, Corrupted Magic Circle, High Focus, and Time for Punishment. While for passive skills, we focus on Forbidden Sanctuary, Flame Condensation, Full of Corruption, Wraith's Beacon, and Devotion and Emptiness. Next we have Skill Specialization, and for Touch of Despair, we select all three, so Radius Increased, Effect Duration, and Curse. Next we have Time for Punishment, and we don't select anything. For Curse Explosion, we get the damage increase. For Corrupted Magic Circle, get Decaying Touch and additional damage. For Judgment Lightning, select all three, so consecutive use and both damage transfers. Next we have Inner Peace, and we don't want to select anything here. Then for Serial Firebombs, get the Mobility, Radius Increase, and Instant Casting. For Chain Lightning, get both damage transfers. For Swift Healing, get consecutive use. For Inferno Wave, get cooldown and consecutive use. Then for High Focus, select base damage boost. And finally, for Karmic Haze, get Radius Increase and additional damage. Next we have Weapon Mastery, and this is how it should look like for the wand. So take a look at the middle and only select the first node called Pure Healing. Now go to the top and select everything from Damage node until the Regenerative Meditation. Now go again to the middle, and this time we get the entire row. And then this is how it should look like for the staff, so pretty much the same thing. Just this time, right from the start, get the entire middle first, and then afterwards the whole bottom row. Next, let's take a look at our gear, and all of these items you can easily farm yourself. Which means that I've specifically found items that only require you to grind specific spots and not use auction house if you don't want to. And also, if you're looking for a full green gear setup, then I recommend you to watch my leveling guides, which are already up on the channel. So first off, we are using the Liquirius' coveted tome, with traits like hit chance, heavy attack chance, and critical hit chance. It should be self-explanatory that all gear should be at its max level, so 6 for green and 9 for blue and purple. And you can get this item's crafting recipe from Cave of Destruction or by opening the purple weapon chests. Next we have Tublex Shattering Quarterstaff with traits like hit chance, heavy attack chance, and critical hit chance. You can get it from the Tyrant's Isle dungeon. Next up we have Visor of the Infernal Herald with melee evasion, ranged evasion, and max health. You can get it from the Death's Abyss dungeon. Next we have Supreme Devotion with mana regen, skill damage resistance, and debuff duration. You can get it from Cave of Destruction. Next we have Swirling Essence Robe with magic evasion, melee evasion, and buff duration. You can get it from a bunch of chests like Tax Delivery Chest, Kurdaki's Armor Chest, or from the Blessing Pouch. You can also defeat the Queen Bellandir and get it as a lucky drop. Next we have Gloomguard Gauntlets with melee evasion, ranged evasion, and added attack speed. You can get it from dungeons like Death's Abyss or Cave of Desperation. Next we have Breaches of the Executioner with ranged evasion, magic evasion, and debuff duration. You can get it from the Epic Show chest or by defeating the Abyssal Spectre. Next, we have the Swirling Essence Shoes with Magic Evasion, Melee Evasion, and Max Health. You can get it from the Cursed Wasteland. Next up, we have the Collar of Decimation with Max Health, Skill Damage Boost, and Buff Duration. You can get it by defeating NPCs such as Koazan or the Lycan Koazan. Next up, we have the Ancient Saurodama Bracers with Mana Regen, Skill Damage Resistance, and Debuff Duration. You can only get it from purple armor chests. Next, we have Etched Alabaster Band with Max Health, Skill Damage Boost, and Buff Duration. You can get it from Abyss chests or by defeating the Demon Hoof Tracker. Next, we have the Sapphire Dimensional Band with Max Health, Skill Damage Boost, and Buff Duration. You can only get it from purple armor chests. And then finally, we have the Belt of Endless Slaughter with Max Health, Skill Damage Resistance, and Debuff Duration. You can get it from the Butcher's Canyon dungeon. Last but not least, if at this current moment you only have blue gear, then don't worry, because that gear doesn't really matter and you'll soon enough start changing it for the purple pieces. The setup I showed is the best current gear that anyone can farm, but no matter what gear you choose, this build will still work fine. This setup is just an example of what a good items with good traits will look like. Next, let's take a look at our gear upgrades. This game doesn't have a very typical gear progression, so by this I mean you will have to upgrade pretty much anything you get. So we go from gray to green to blue and then finally purple. No matter at which stage of progression you're watching this video, just keep upgrading your equipment to their max level. And then when you get better gear, just transfer the experience from the old one to the new one. As for my gear recommendations, when you reach level 50, just farm accessible gear by doing open world dungeons. Also, you want to extract traits from gear for Lucent. On top of that, you need to turn important purple gear acquired from co-op dungeons into lithographs, and then sell them on the auction house. Last but not least, for your traits, just prioritize the ones that give you the highest damage. And don't forget that you can acquire new traits by using Trait Unlock Stone, which you get from the Common Trait Unlock Stone bundle. Next up, we have the stats. The goal for your endgame build is to reach over 45% critical hit and 50 strength for that 100 additional heavy attack, which synergizes perfectly with our staff abilities. With this build, you also have high cooldown speed, which is important to spam DPS abilities quickly. So at level 50, we want to reach 50 strength and 50 wisdom, and then put the rest of your points into dexterity. For PVE, you care mainly about maximum damage output, so that's why after we complete the main stats, we want to put as many points into dexterity as possible. Next, we have our Guardian choice. And these creatures are special transformations that add offensive or defensive buffs to your character for 30 seconds. And for our build, we have two best choices. The first one is the Lady Knight Kamarshia. This Guardian lowers your cooldowns while also giving you a damage shield equal to 50% of your maximum mana. This is a strong defensive Guardian whenever you're struggling to survive. The other option is the Shade Revenant Steno. This Guardian launches projectiles every second that can crit and heavy attack. Since our build is great at range, so this guy works perfectly for our playstyle. And now finally, we have come to the gameplay part. And as this build is very versatile, I will give you multiple rotations. So at the beginning of every fight, I recommend to start it always using the Touch of Despair, because our goal when doing AoE damage is to stack curses on the boss, and then use Decaying Touch, Serial Firebombs, then use Touch of Despair again, and now finally use the Curse Explosion to do big damage. Our main objective with this rotation is to build curses by using the Touch of Despair. Then we use few skills to maximize the damage of the Curse Explosion skill. And now we can rinse and repeat. Also in between rotations, feel free to use Judgment Lightning whenever it comes off cooldown. Next we have a long DPS rotation for maximum damage. And start by using High Focus, Time for Punishment, Touch of Despair, Serial Firebombs, Inferno Wave, Decaying Touch, then Touch of Despair again, and now we finish it off with a Curse Explosion. And now finally for healing. The Swift Healing is your main healing skill that has a low cooldown and can be cast up to 3 times by us choosing to go with the consecutive use specialization. Our healer setup is made to support your team while doing as much damage as possible. But in case you're playing with not as good players, then you can also switch one DPS skill for one healing skill. The Wand and Staff is high spam, and you need to understand how to maximize your ability rotations to achieve the best damage. The first combo will quickly kill normal mobs that are a lot squishier. You will frequently use this rotation while completing your resistance contracts, while the second rotation is more meant for bosses and group PvE. So if you enjoyed this video, click like, subscribe, and comment. If you're interested in more content, check out my channel, and I'll see you in the next one. So take it easy, peace.